Welcome to the March board meeting. I am Clay, WA6LBU, chairman of the board. We'll call the meeting to order. And is Doug here?
Doug's here.
He was here a minute ago.
Okay.
Yeah, he's there.
I see you now, Doug. Okay, with that, we'll do a roll call attendance starting. Let's see, this is an odd month, so I think we start at the bottom and work up.
No, we start at the top and work down.
Okay. I'm glad one of us has that straight. First call area.
First call area present, KB1XB.
Okay, thank you. Second call area. Okay. Third call area.
KE3HAY is here.
Okay. Fourth call area.
Present K9 GWS.
Fifth call area, WA6LBU. Sixth call area.
Sixth call area, WY6N.
Okay. Seventh call area.
Seventh call area, KE7RG.
Okay. Eighth call area.
W8NED, spelling present.
Okay. Ninth call area.
Whiskey 9, Whiskey Golf, present.
Okay. Thank you, Virgil. 10th.
No, not here.
No 10. Okay. And the 11th call area. DX.
E3CMB VA3YKT here. With the way that things are going right now, let's back off.
I could have said something else and you'd have just flipped me off. So, I won't do that. Mr. President.
KL7OR present.
Okay. And Vice President.
Alpha 1, November Alpha, present. Thank you.
Okay.
Also, second call area is represented now. And ninth call area also.
Second call area, you want to sound off?
Alpha Charlie 2 Mike Tango, present.
Okay. And ninth call area, we're just doing the attendance. Can you sound off?
W9ROG, present.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also have Virgil for the ninth.
The whole family is here. Okay. We have, looks like the first order of business is election of secretary. Do we have any nominees?
Comment.
I think it's up to the president to nominate. I think.
Is that? Okay.
I think.
Dean? He's shaking his head, so I guess it comes from the floor. I heard a comment.
KE3HAY, nominate N3VEJ.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. Do we have additional nominations? Okay. Since there is one nomination, all those in favor? Are there any opposed, I guess?
Who did the second, please?
What's that?
Who did the second on that?
I believe that was the eighth call area, Gene.
Yes, sir.
I'll remember that, Gene.
Okay. I believe since it is all quiet that makes Doug it for another year. May God have mercy on his soul.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay. Election for treasurer. Do I have any nominations?
E3CMB K9 GWS.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that, WY6N.
Okay. There was a lot of seconds if I saw fingers flying around. Let's see.
Heard WY6N.
The second was WY6N. Okay. Okay. Since are there any more additional nominations from the floor? Okay. Insert cricket noise here. Once again, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Nothing opposed. Gary, looks like you're it again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Thank you, Doug, for putting up with this somewhat
Yeah,
odd family.
The first year was a tough one. I had to learn what I was doing. Now it's easy.
Noted. Okay, fourth on the agenda, February meeting notes. Are there any corrections? Any comments? Okay, with that, accepted by acclamation. Any objections to that? Not seeing any movement. The March special meeting. Any corrections to that?
Thank you for serving, Clay, again.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your support and approval. Accepted by acclamation. Any objections to that? Okay. Now on to number 5, financials. February financials were posted. Are there any questions or comments or corrections? Okay, hearing none. Accepted by acclamations. Any objections? Okay, hearing on, we move on. We have the usual reports. Are there any questions or comments from the president or awards? Bylaws not here. Gary, do you have anything on communications?
Yeah, I didn't get my report done again this month, but we have been working hard on the new QSL guidelines. Hopefully you guys had a chance to look at the new page we put out there for the new guidelines. And we've also been working hard on cleaning up the website and getting rid of the word card where it wasn't appropriate. Ben did a tremendous amount of work getting all the awards redone as well. And we've been also working on cleaning up. I don't know, is the new DX page up yet?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not.
No, okay. There's a new DX page that'll go up in the next few days. That hopefully is easier and clearer for the DX stations, and we're working on another. So we're doing a lot of work on the website. We continue. It's turned out to be a little harder to do the videos that we want to do than we thought because it's just harder to get people to do them and get them to be good, look good, be decent quality. So we're going to continue to work on getting some more videos up. And one of them that's on the agenda is, which I'm hoping we get done here in the next week or so, is how to give a signal report. And we're not just, the page on the website now is really just explains RST. So it'll explain RST, but it'll also explain how you should give a signal report. So
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead, Gene.
Gary, have you thought about the wording for not using the common rifle shot and bang bang highs variety?
Well, Gene, as you know, that's one of my pet peeves, and the other part of it is ham jargon, where they say, send me a long string of numbers. A news station has no clue what that means. So that will be all part of how to give a signal report, Gene. That'll all be part of it. That's why I said it's going to be more than just RST, which is what's on the current page. So we'll redo that page, and we're going to do a video on it as well. So.
Okay, thank you.
Got one more comment. Today, Matt made a change to the club profile or individual club profile dealing with QSL routes, and hopefully we'll get something out in the next day or so on that change and what it means. So, but we're trying to do that, trying to combat these long string of things that are being entered and getting it down. So anyway, we'll have something out hopefully by Monday or Tuesday. So for the membership on that. So
Dean, we have still have an issue with old timers for the check-ins, and I don't know what that is the problem. What the problem is with that?
okay, give me a second. Let me make a note here real quick, Gene, and I'll follow up with Matt on that. You're saying that it's right.
They're absent on check-ins at the default profile for the Century Club. I was NCS for the 20-meter CW net, no old-timer numbers again. And I just updated my profile.
Is that in the net logger?
Right. It not net logger, yes.
Any other comments?
Yeah, KE3H.
Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead, Keon.
So, I'm sorry. Okay, so I have a question, and I don't know, this is for Gary, if this will work, but is there any possible way that we can kind of kick the can around a little bit at the eyeball and get some of these videos done? I know we're talking August, but if whatever, I guess, we don't have finished that we need to get finished, is it possible that we could set some time to the side to do that? I think that would be an amazing way for a bunch of us to be able to participate, and you get the stuff hands-on without having to, go through other things.
Keon, I hadn't thought about that, but I think that's a really good idea. We'll get somebody who has a decent video camera and find a spot, and we can do some of that. I think the other thing, you've really sparked my interest here, Keon, because the other thing that we could do is I don't think we've done this before. We do pictures, but do some videos of maybe people on the QRP nets and whatever, and that would also be interesting content for the YouTube channel. So
yeah, and I'll be there this year. I will be more than happy to help with that. We don't need anything super expensive, a good iPad and some light, and yeah, I will definitely help out with that.
Okay,
awesome.
Sounds great.
So let me just make a little comment. I want to defend just Gary just for a second. Is that this past month we've been involved in a rather major change, even though it's business as usual, getting things in place for the March 1st approval of the bylaws. And I know I've been working with Gary for the last couple of weeks, getting web pages done and these kinds of things. And the videos kind of have taken kind of back burners. But in fact, the video from last week's board meeting, I'm still sitting on it because I haven't had a chance to get it done. So I'll tell you what, I'll take it upon myself to pounce on the membership and communications team to get it done. And just one other thing, Keon, is that at the eyeball, we want to do things, we have at our disposal being able to record via Zoom also. So if we want to do something, getting in front of people, we can do that as well. And then the recording happens in the background, and then we turn it over to Sammy.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. And I just happened to think about that earlier as I was doing some other videos. I think that would be great content to go on our YouTube. So thanks, Gary, for all of your work with that, and Dean.
Okay.
Comment as well. This goes back to the motion that we approved last month on QSLing and the different methods of QSLing. Typically, when we approve a motion, it becomes effective March 1st. Well, in this case, March 1st, right? Because we approved it last month.
Right.
But the contacts made and back a year ago can still be used right now. So it's sort of a little different than what we usually do. Usually we approve an award, or we approve an motion, and then the first of the next month that kicks into effect. Now we're approving the motion. It does kick into effect the first of the following month, but you can go back for several years and use those contacts.
I think,
So
Craig, that is, I believe,
hang on a second.
Well,
Gene,
well,
hold
second,
on.
yeah. So I think we should clarify that on the website as well. That it's become effective March 1st, but you can use prior contacts to that if that's what we agreed on. Sorry, Jane, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gene.
There was no date restriction on the motion on the motion to be able to start using contacts.
Right, so it's a retroactive.
Yeah,
no
Yeah,
problem.
but I agree, but it might be a little bit confusing because typically when we vote on a motion, it and everything in that motion become effective the first of the following month. So all I'm
Right.
saying is that we should just add in the website, although the motion was approved and you can now use EQSL. Oh no, we always had EQSL, but you can use QRZ, LOTW, all that stuff for contacts made whenever.
Great, Craig, a great clarification.
Okay.
I agree.
And the only reason it came up is I got confused because I've just received a 100-point award application from VA3 ABU, who's going to become a new member too, by the way. And he had included three contacts that he had made before March 1st. And initially, and I'm glad I asked the question, and is Johnny around? Johnny clarified it for me, but I'm glad I asked the question because I was going to tell him that can we work together to replace those three? Like you must have either two-letter calls or something, right? So anyway, just for clarification, that's all I'm asking, because it's sort of not typical as to what we usually do.
Yeah, so Craig, I can do that, and I'll probably put something in there that just says that you can use this on all Century Club contacts that you've made.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further for Gary? Okay, on to IT task force. Matt's not here, and there doesn't look like there's a report. I know I sent Matt he sent me an email with a bunch of questions, and I answered the majority of them for the eyeball webpage about 2:00 in the morning. So I imagine that should be coming out pretty soon. And since the eyeball has been approved and aimed at me, I don't have a lot to report other than we have four people who have signed up electronically, and that's a good thing.
Did you get the check?
I have not as of yet. I checked my post office box this morning and it wasn't there. So
okay, because I sent it out on Tuesday. So
it's snail mail. They probably put it on the slowest snail that the post office has. So that's I'll send you an email when I get it.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see. That's the bottom of the reports. Old business. We don't have any new business. There was Dean, do you want to take some time and discuss what we talked about on the phone with the budget?
Gary has submitted a budget for the next fiscal year, and you hopefully have all seen it. And I basically propose that we all look at it. We'll table this and we'll vote on it next month. So, and let me finish real quick. We all kind of get caught up in things, and Gary has been over the top overloaded with a lot of things going on in his life. And yes, it was due this month, but nothing's gonna.
Well, that's
table it and we'll vote on it next month. So,
well, so what I really want to talk about, and some of you sent me some emails today with questions or whatever, is that I think I would, in looking at this budget, and the reason I sent it out here as a preliminary budget is that I think we have to make some decisions. And one of them is if you've looked at the budget, the revenue that we expect to get from awards doesn't cover even the expense of producing the awards. So the more awards we do, the more money we lose. And that's never a very good situation. So I'm suggesting that we go back to the 2015 level. I think we changed this in Branson in 2016. And frankly, when it was changed, I wasn't on the board, but I was at the meeting. And frankly, when it was changed, there was no analysis. There was no projections on what this would do or what this would mean. The reason it was done at the time, we had about $11,000 in our reserve account, and it was done to reduce that reserve because, rightly so, that was probably more money than we needed to have in reserve. So I think there's a couple of things. Number one, we've got to talk about, increasing the award fees, in my opinion. And number two, and I brought this up before, but we've never been able to sort of come to a consensus on it, is what do we want our reserve fund to be? There's some language in the bylaws that says we're supposed to have a reserve fund, but it doesn't say how much. Is it $1? Is it $50,000? There's no specificity about it. I have an opinion on it, and rather than pick a number, I think what we ought to do, and this will give us or future boards, some guidelines to work on. And I think we ought to say that we want our reserve fund to be between some numbers, and I'll say 4,000 and 6,000. So if it drops below 4,000, then we got to look at how do we increase revenue or reduce expenses or do something to keep our reserve fund at least 4,000. If it gets above 6,000, then we have to look at, well, what should we do to reduce that number? And there's a lot of options at the time you could pick. You could say, we're going to waive fees for a month or two, or we're going to reduce our fee for a period of time. I wish that's what would have been done in the past when they reduced this, was not to reduce it forever, because we knew that wasn't gonna work. I mean, the decision was we're going to reduce it forever until somebody else changes it, but they would have reduced it for a period of time, and it would have just made it easier. But we've got what we've got here right now.
Comment, Jerry?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's mine.
Go ahead, Gene.
Okay. What do you think about for example, a percentage of expected revenue for 3 years or something like this? So we will have a reserve for if it's a bad year, we would have 2 or 3 years of reserve. I'm not sure what I'm saying it very well, but like the 30% reserve for 3 years for the award account.
How would you calculate that?
I don't know. I have to think about that, but we could do that. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing now.
Well, so I was trying to make it a little simpler and cleaner. Let me give you an example. You can look at the budget here. I mean, Ben is projecting, and I think it's pretty darn close, that we're going to have about $1,456 in award revenue next year. This past year, we had $2,677. So if you say you want it to be 3 years worth of revenue, our revenue can vary dramatically from year to year. So that
But what is
number would be all over the place.
what is the 3-year average for the numbers for the awards?
Well, it can vary. This is what I'm trying to tell you, Gene. If I take this, let's say I take this coming year at 1456, even though we haven't done it yet, and 2677 for last year, and let's say 1600 for the prior year. Once we move past this year, then the 2677 goes away, and you've got a lower number now you're working with. So you're always working with a moving target if you use the 3-year average.
That's okay. That's okay. I think that is okay if we have a good thought of what the average is.
So if you have the average and it goes down, are you going to lower fees for that year? And next year, next year, when the average goes up, you're going to have to raise fees to keep the 3-year average. So you're going to be changing fees
about
every year.
Yeah, it's a thought, but I have to think about that. Yeah.
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
And of course, we should take this, well, why don't we take it offline or however we work this, right? But we'll have a lot of good discussion on this for sure. Like, what is our basic cost annually for Adobe renewals or this renewals or that renewals, hosting of the website, all of that stuff? So that's one, obviously, right? So if next year we absolutely, let's say we have 0 awards, we still have to pay those annual costs.
Right.
So let's look at that. Then on the other side of it, for the amount of awards we issued, 100 awards, whatever, what the revenue should have been versus what we actually got, because like Baker's Dozen, for example, we absolutely lose money on it. And we could probably work a number in there. I mean, I was one of the people involved on agreeing back in 2015, whenever it was, on reducing the cost of the awards to the membership. But back then, we had a fairly good reserve, but we're talking 10 years ago. So I'm certainly not opposed to increasing the award.
Adjusting it. Yeah.
Well, and Craig, you make a really good point, because Ben figured this out. But we were charging $3 in 1977 for an award, and in today's dollars, that would be $16 roughly.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, we're not overcharging our members by any stretch of the imagination.
So,
and I want to try to keep this simple if we can. One other thing I want to bring up, because we could save at least a few $100s a year by not sending certificates of appreciation for Baker's Dozen by mail, and just send them a email PDF of the award. And because we get nothing for those, yet it's costing us some money to print them and send them out. So that's something else we might want to think about, and that'll save us a few $100s a year.
So Gary, I'm not a math or a financial person, but it seems to me that what we need to figure out is a way to balance our income to our awards through the expenses of our awards. That's what we need to learn how to do really well. And I know we've been trying, but I don't think we're there yet.
Well, so one of the challenges we have here is there's the expense of the awards, but the only source of revenue we have is awards. And Craig brought up the fact that we have to pay for things like website expenses, right? And the Adobe software license is sort of parts of awards, but it's a big fixed expense we have to pay every year. So we gotta get to a point where there's enough revenue to cover those kinds of things, as well as the cost of producing the awards. So I wanted to bring it up.
Yep.
We kind of have to decide before we do the budget, because obviously if I do the budget, it'll be different, depending on what we decide to charge for awards and what we decide to do with the certificate of appreciation for, and we have been, just so you know, I have, and Ben and Dean have been looking at this, and like last year, we reduced the number of awards we gave out at the eyeball, because that also saved us a fair amount of money. So we've been looking at some of the opportunities to reduce expenses.
Do we know now what the other clubs, I think even back in 2015, I believe the other clubs were charging around $5 for a mailed award. Do we know? I have no idea.
Well, so we do a little bit. It depends on who you want to compare us to, Craig. I mean, if you compare us to like the ARRL, they charge $50 award. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at Old Miss's revenue structure is different than ours. All right.
Yep.
They don't have the hurdle to become a member. The hurdle is 2 contacts and $10. They make most of their revenue off of new members. And I think they only charge like $1.25 or something but I think Old Miss, I don't know if Old Miss sends out a nice certificate like we do. I think maybe they send an email. I'd have to look at that, Craig. I don't know. And I can look at that and see what Old Miss is doing.
Yeah.
But, our prices are very reasonable compared to most clubs.
Cheap, especially for the nice certificates.
What's that?
Especially for the nice certificates.
Yeah. I think we do a great job in quality in what we produce and send people. So.
And just so it's not lost, 2015, we knocked the awards down basically a buck each, right? So 10 years ago, we reduced the cost of the awards. So,
Yeah, what I'm proposing right now is just to go back to that level and raise everything a buck, which would probably generate, I have to look at this a little more, but probably generate $600 or $700 additional revenue. And if you get rid of the certificates of appreciation, you're going to probably be close to $1,000 benefit, which would just about eliminate our deficit for this year.
Yeah.
Question, Gary.
Yeah, go ahead, Keon.
So if we go back to the 2015 numbers, and I think that's a great idea. If we get to the point where we're at the high end of our reserve, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can always run a special for 6 months where rates are reduced, right?
Well, we can do anything we want to do, Keon. And so if you get to that point, you can make a decision to say we're going to lower our awards fees. We'll figure out how much money we want to lose, and we'll lower our awards fees for $1 across the board or $2, whatever we want to do for the next 6 months. And and based on projections, we'll figure out whether that'll get us to about where we want to be.
I see a win-win situation here. Okay,
they do.
So I think the decisions are, because we've never done this, and this is, in my opinion, is a problem, is what do we want that reserve balance to be? All right, because it's hard to hit a moving target. So what do you want that reserve balance to be? Do you want to eliminate the certificates of appreciation going out on the baker's dozen? And do we want to raise the fees $1? Those are the three questions.
So Gary,
for me,
I also think we need to promote, getting certificates as PDF files rather than mail. I mean, I opted for that just because, what am I going to do with the baker's dozen certificate? I'm going to file it or I'm going to save it someplace. So,
right.
So we need to promote that as well. So,
yeah,
I agree.
If we can get to a number, for example, 2 years of operations. Okay, so let's assume that we go through 2 years of operations as our reserve with minimal awards what would that number be, Gary? 5,000, 8,000, 12,000. And I think we're at the lower end of that. So we're 2 years of that this club can keep going, keep paying all the bills that we talked about earlier. And the tricky part of it is, as you were saying, the awards, right? If we're not making anything on the awards, but you threw out some numbers here on what an award used to cost in the end and what it costs now, or used to cost in the early days and what it costs now. So if we had sort of a balance on that number, I think we set our reserve to or 3 years, right? So whether that's 6,000 or it can't certainly be 30,000, but whether it's 6,000 or 5,000 or 7,000, and I think that's our target. And as Keon brought up, and as you said, if we're going above our reserve for a period, like 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever, throw in discount of the cost of awards, and it will also get people like me off my butt to actually apply for more awards.
So
cheap state.
I think the other thing that we've missed over the past 9 years is we lowered the rate. We lowered the awards rate in 2016, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And how much has the postage gone up in the last 9 years? And we've made no adjustments for that. That's out of our control.
Yeah.
I think that we need to keep revisiting that every few years as we go forward. Is that as the postal rates go up, we may need to consider that we may need to be having to raise those fees a bit. And everything's going up, but we're sitting on a 2016 approval by the board of issuing awards, and we haven't. Unless I'm wrong, I don't think we've changed it since 2016. And
that was 33 cents for a postage now, and it's almost close to a dollar now.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, Gary, just one more idea here, and you and I can work on this. I think what we should do is we should go back and look at the finances for the last 3 years and do a what if we had raised our rates by $1 on the awards, what it would have meant to the Treasury today over the last 3 years.
And
I'll talk to you about that.
What are we going to learn from that, Dean? That's actually a fair amount of work. We're going to
learn, are we in the hole? It's going to really tell us in the work, because I think we're in the hole today. We're losing.
We are in the hole today.
Right.
I mean, just look at our financial statements.
Right.
We're in the hole, but we're in the hole annually. But that was a decision the board made back then.
Right.
Annually put us in the hole every single year until we got down where we thought the reserve was enough to hold the club.
Yeah.
So why don't we fix that problem, and then we can fix the reserve problem?
So
we got to determine what the reserve needs to be.
So
no. I'm saying is that if we postpone the decision on what the reserve could be, and we fix the problem with being in the hole, then I think we'll have a better idea of what the reserve should be.
Yeah, but let's assume but hang on. Let's assume the reserve should be $2,000.
Right.
We got another 2 years to go, losing money before we hit the minimum of reserve.
But we can't decide that until we have all the information beforehand.
So I don't understand what we're going to learn from increasing the fees by $1 for the past 2 years. What's that going to teach?
I'm just saying, what were the awards in 2015?
What's that?
What was the award fee in 2015? It was what, $4?
It's $1 more than we have today.
Okay. So if we had taken the last 3 years worth of award revenue and multiplied it times $1, would we still be operating in the hole?
But
and if we're not, what does that tell you?
But
we made a bad decision. I don't know.
Maybe we didn't need to.
No. I mean, Craig makes the point.
That was the intent.
It is not easy. It is not easy to come to do these numbers. It's a lot of work, and the reason it is because we don't charge the same fee for every award. So you have to go back and look at each individual award that was issued and what the fee was on that award. It's not as simple as saying add $1. Okay, so it's a little more work, and I'm not sure what we're going to learn from it. And the other thing is, I think we're kicking the can down the road again if we don't decide what we want this reserve to be, because we don't know what the target should be. And we said in 2016 we wanted to reduce the reserve. Okay, that's fine. They didn't say what they wanted to reduce it to, and they didn't say how much reserve do you want to have. The other thing I'd say is that every year we have some unusual one-time expenses, no matter what they are. Okay, and so Eric, one of the notes Eric sent me was he wants to include $200 in this year's budget for NetLog, and I don't know when it was. A couple of years ago, we sent him $500. That wasn't in the budget that year, and so there are these unusual expenses that we incur from time to time. And if you want to be able to if you don't want to be able to do that, that's okay. But if you want to be able to have that flexibility, then you have to have some reserve there to be able to do it.
We need that flexibility.
Contact.
So let me work. I've done some stuff on this already. Let me work on some stuff. I really want to avoid going back 2 or 3 or 4 years and reprojecting our financial statements based on higher awards fees, because I don't think it will help us much. All right, we know what we're losing, and I think we need to look forward and say, if we have the higher revenue, what's our P&L going to look like?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Gary,
I'll talk to you offline, Gary.
Okay, but Gary, and we know what we're losing, but that was by design.
Yeah. There's So I'm not saying that it was a bad thing. What I'm saying is, at the time it was done, nobody ever talked about where do we stop, right?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
we said we were going to lose money.
Yep.
But nobody said, when do we stop?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
And I don't want us to get into, we're in a position right now where we're not in a panic, okay? But I don't want us to get to a position where we're in a panic and we're saying running out of money, right?
Comment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary. I think I really think that Dean should appoint you as our Doge leader. Okay.
As our what?
Our Doge leader.
Oh.
You're it. Tag, you're it.
I have a question.
With that, I'm sorry. I think Keon had something. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we don't make a ton of work for Gary, because I get what Dean is saying. However, time is of the essence, and we don't have months to figure this out. Gary, is $6,000 enough to sustain us? If we get above that, we can make an adjustment to the awards for a few months. Like, is $6,000 a fair, safe number?
So if you take the variable expense of the awards out, but you got to remember, we're losing money on awards right now. If you take that expense out, or if you leave it in, I mean, our expenses this year are going to be about $2,600. They were about $3,500 last year. But that's because we had a lot more awards. So you had a lot more award expenses. All right. So, our total expenses are about 26. Let's say I could go back and look a little bit more to see what our average has been over the last few years for expenses. But, you could probably run the club for at least 2 years with no revenue, with about a $4,000 reserve.
Okay, that's what I want.
Gary, I just ran the numbers, and we'd be about $1,500 ahead if we were charging $4 an award 3 years ago. That would be the difference of what we would have had in the treasury today, about $1,500.
But Dean, what we were trying to do back then was to decrease our reserve.
Well, I think we need a balance. I think we need to balance the awards program first. I mean, I really believe that we can't keep writing off expenses for the awards program, because eventually we're going to deplete our reserve.
Well, no, then that's why we're having.
Well, until now,
Yeah,
well, let me just be clear. Until this budget this year, we were producing enough revenue to cover our awards expenses. And let me just double check that once what I said there. But I think we were. Yes, we were. Yes, we were. Because our revenue last year was 2677, and it's 2530 when we spent 2536 on awards. All right. So until this year, it's been fine. It's this year now that we've got, a situation where we're upside down on that.
And you could
the other
see,
thing is our other expenses, and it's not like our other expenses aren't going up either. I mean, our PayPal fees are going up. You know what? If you include the PayPal fees, the way I did this budget, you don't include the PayPal fees. But we actually lost money on let me see here, just a second. If you add your PayPal fees, and we actually lost money last year on awards. So
well,
the PayPal fees
Gary,
keep going up.
You could say the lost money and for awards could be all postage for a couple of years.
Well, some of it's postage, but what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not just awards expenses. We sort of, things that are actually related to creating and sending out awards. It's not as much that as it is, some of the, like PayPal has gone up quite a bit in the last, few years, and they keep changing their fee structure, and we get really hurt because we have such small transaction sizes, and they charge a flat fee. They charge a flat fee, I think, of 49 cents, but if I remember right. So that, on such small amounts, that adds up quite a bit.
PayPal.
So, I mean, again, going back, I keep saying 15, maybe it was 16, 2016. So 9 years later, almost 10 years later, okay, we made a decision back there to cut expenses to bring our reserve down. 10 years later, we're saying, yeah, well, maybe we're near the bottom of the reserve. Put the award fees back to where they were. And you know what? In 5 years from now, we'll be saying, as a nonprofit or not-for-profit, I'm not sure what the terminology is in the States, but as a not-for-profit, maybe we don't need $12,000 in reserve. And 5, 8, 10 years from now, we'll drop them down again. I'd rather Gary's idea of saying, where should we be? We're defining sort of mins and max, but I don't think it's a big deal. Bump up. It's been 9 years. Bump up the awards by $1 a piece.
Well, it is. In theory, it's not even an increase from 2015, right? And the reason I'm saying 2015 is
just getting back to $2015.
2016, right?
It's just getting back to 2015 charges.
Right. I wish I was paying what I paid for eggs in 2015.
No. Good discussion. Really good.
Okay.
No, it was very helpful, guys. So let me work on some numbers here, okay? Because I've given you sort of ballpark stuff tonight, and I've been working with Ben. Ben's been doing a lot of work, and when I said a lot of work, Ben would be doing a lot of the work. So I'm just trying to minimize what we need to do here and make sure. I'm not opposed to analysis, but I want to make sure that what we're doing is going to be helpful to us making a decision. It doesn't get us sidetracked on other things. So
and Clay, sorry, Ben is the only one following protocol. Ben has his hand up.
Okay, I missed Ben. I lost Ben. Ben,
sorry, Ben,
ahead.
I didn't see you.
You moved around, Ben.
All right. Well,
go ahead.
Thank you, Craig. Understanding the protocol is half of the battle here. What I wanted to say was any notion you might have of having flexible rates such that the awards are one thing now, and 6 months from now we decide to do something else, and then in another 6 months we decide to do something else, that will create a prohibitive amount of work. for the awards committee, namely me. So I just wanted to throw that in, that changing every 6 months is completely, well, I can't say it's off the table. That's up to you, but I wouldn't appreciate it.
Ben, can I ask you one question? What were we paying to mail an award 9 years ago, roughly?
You have a way of putting people on the spot.
Okay, never
What
mind.
the hell do I know about postage 9 years ago? I have to look it up. You could look
Gene
it
said it was
up.
like 34 cents or something like that.
Well, you know, ballpark, it was probably like around 35 cents, something like that.
For the big envelope for the, yeah.
We can look it up.
All facetiousness aside.
All right, I have a question. I have a question for Ben.
I can recall probably around the time I took over as award secretary is about $1.05 for a 2-ounce envelope, which is a typical single award, maybe up to 3 or 4 awards in that envelope. So you have to, you know, obviously you can't say it's $1.05 per award,
right?
But that same envelope now is $1.77. That's how much the postage
So
is.
it's 66% up cost.
Yes.
Or more.
Okay, I think Rich had a question.
Yeah, I got a question for Ben. Are you sending out more awards by mail or more by PDF?
Well, again, putting me on the spot, I do have those numbers and I can bring them up if you give me a second or two. When I prepared the budget for Gary, I got those percentages. It's really, we're sending more out by PDFs now.
Yeah, so you're losing money there.
Well, PDFs,
well, no, you're not
no,
either.
we're not.
No, you're
PDFs
making
are
money on
$2, and all it costs is my labor.
Right, you're making
and a cut of the fixed expenses.
Yeah, Ole Miss charges $3 per award, and that was as of January 1st, 25.
They don't charge for PDFs.
No PDFs, they don't.
They only charge for the mailed ones, and I think most of their people opt for the PDFs.
When they
But,
send out
but you
coffee
can't
cups.
just look at their award fee, because if you look at their financial,
Right.
most of the
$10
revenue comes
lifetime
from new
membership.
members.
Ben, is your salary going up as well?
That's a relatively large fixed expense that that certainly distorts the whole situation. You can't divide by 0.
Gee, you missed it. I gave Ben a 50% increase in his salary in the budget.
So he gets 2 more zeros.
And I declined it.
He said it was unreasonable, so.
Okay.
I'm still bringing up this budget, and
Okay.
let's see.
While Ben's doing that,
PDFs,
Doug has his
25%. 25% of our awards are PDFs.
Okay.
And then the 37% are free awards, and that's a significant number.
So, okay. With that, Doug had his hand up.
In my business, I use Zelle and Venmo. Both have no fees, and are fairly accessible. I think Zelle is supported by over 20,000 banks in the United States, and Venmo is also supported by. Actually, it's not. Venmo is actually a PayPal product, but it doesn't have the PayPal fee on it. So basically, it's no fee transactions, as long as they don't check that they want the buyer protection guarantee, which does slap a fee on it. Have we ever thought about using those methods, the peer-to-peer payments?
We need to.
Well, so if you want to go with Venmo, then you got to get all the members to have a Venmo account. I don't know. I think PayPal is more accessible, but we could certainly switch to Venmo if you wanted to save the money. It's just I don't want more checks coming in. All
Why
right.
does it
I
have,
don't,
why does it
Gary,
have to be a
I don't think
switch?
you want
Why
to
can't
switch
we
to Venmo
support
because
both, all three?
the API is
I
not
love
there
Zelle.
to
It's
automate payments
Let
through the
one
website.
person talking at a time.
Yeah, 1 second.
Ben, you were covered up. Say that again.
I don't think you want Venmo or Zelle because those are initiated through bank websites. You could not have the API on our website for people to make their awards payments. So it would have to be a two-piece transaction where they apply for their award and then somehow separately they send a Zelle payment or a Venmo payment and then send that documentation to the awards manager. It could be done, but it's certainly not as slick as the current system using the website.
You don't want Zelle.
Okay. And I believe Gene was next.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Was there somebody else I missed? Because there was about 3 people talking.
Well, the other thing was Gary does not get, would not get from Venmo or Zelle any kind of a listing of the payments that were made to our account. He'd just be getting individual transactions. And that's not too cool.
Okay.
But I think we're starting to go down a rabbit hole here, folks.
I agree.
Let's back up a little bit. And what we're talking about is, bottom line, do we need to increase the fees, which I think we do for the awards, but where should the balance be? Where should Sweet Thing be? And Ben, I absolutely agree. We can't have it so tight, the lower limit and the upper limit. We cannot have it so tight that the award fees are changing every 6 or 8 or 10 months. But the last time the award fees changed were back in 2016. Okay, so let's increase the award fees by $1 per award.
Okay. I think
I know I'm in the dark, but I know I'm in the dark, but come on.
You forget to pay your electric bill, Craig?
No, I just went out for
Oh, you're outside. It's gonna be a little chilly.
We can see the cigarette just fine.
So let me put some new numbers together, and I'll send them out to you guys in the next few days, and we'll try to come to a consensus on what we want to do.
That's fair enough.
Sounds good.
You sent out.
Okay.
Great. Yep.
Okay. That discussion's closed. We're down to item 9, which is question and answers with directors and officers, which we've been doing a little bit here. Does anybody have anything from the floor that's not a director?
I do have a question for Gary.
Go ahead.
Gary, the structure of your fees, I guess I'm wondering why they haven't been standardized. And what I mean by that is you have a fee for an award, but you have a sub fee if the person is 65 or over. Would it not help the process if you standardize those fees, the fee being what it is, and that's it, no deviation from it?
Well, we've looked at that. All right. And I mean, that's, we could do that. I think it's, when you start changing a lot of things, then people start to maybe get a little more excited. I was thinking about something that didn't require so much explanation. We'd have to explain why we were going to, because not only would we raise the fee for 65 and older, theirs would go up $2, if we standardize the fee. So, it's like, how do we want to do that? I'm neutral on it. If you want to do that, we can do that. But I think it might create some angst because we've been doing, I don't know how long, as long as I have been here, we've been doing the reduced fee for the retirees, let's say.
And
when that was put in place.
So Gary, it goes something like this, and back in 2004, oh my God, I can't afford to pay the difference of $1 for my one award that I get every 6 months. but I can go to Starbucks every month and buy my favorite latte.
Exactly.
And you're John, you're right. You're right. I mean, we're living in a different era today, and I think again something else we should look at. You know.
Yeah. The discussion was. I mean, I've kind of thought about this for the last year, and I kind of wondered why we didn't have just a standardized form. The fee is the fee, and that's it. If you're thinking of just going electronically for confirmations or for your awards, I kind of think you should pick and choose some of that, because I think awards like Worked All States are special. There should be a diploma or something that's sent out, because it's an achievement that's important, especially in the world of amateur radio. I've got one here from QRZ, and I know that ARRL produces theirs, and we have one of ours. I haven't got it yet, but I'm working on it. And I just kind of it has a special meaning, and so that type of award I would probably prefer a diploma as opposed to something coming in electronically.
John. John, for example, you think your award, Worked All States, is special for you. For me, I have a couple of Worked All States. I don't need another one. A DX on 75 is more special for me. So it depends on the person, you know?
Yeah, no, I get the point. Yeah, I'm just saying there are some that are a little more important than others. Certificate of appreciation, I could live with having something sent electronically. But a Worked All States or a DX, which is an achievement in itself, those are kind of important to people, and it's a visual recognition that you can put on the wall, and it's an achievement. It's an achievement that means it is important to people, and
so it's more important.
And I get your point, though. I get your point.
But maybe it's more important for a paper certificate, not a PDF. So we have choices for that.
Yeah.
We have to offer, in my mind, we have to offer people paper certificates. There are people that do not want PDFs. There are people that are not going to accept PDFs, and that's fine. And I wasn't around either when while I was around, maybe, I don't know, but I wasn't on the board then when that fee structure came into account. But you know, the reduced fee for seniors, Dean, I don't know, but anyway, it was a reduced fee for seniors.
I just remember it coming up, Craig. I can't remember what eyeball, and it was like 2004, 2005, and it was like, are you kidding me? Is what I said to myself, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like these guys are getting 15 awards a month and it's cost them $30 or something. It's like,
exactly. but again, guys, I think going down a rabbit hole. It doesn't matter.
Right.
There's nothing matters here right now with that. Yeah. What matters is how much reserve do we need, and to Ben's point, not to have the low limit and the high limit so close that every 6 months he's changing the award structure. So bump it up by $1.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's give Gary opportunity to do some analysis, come back with information, and we'll discuss this next month or over the course of the next month.
Yeah, we need to discuss this so that we're ready to approve it
next month. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the budget. I mean, if you're going to put in this ceiling, I think that needs to be a separate motion. Okay, that we need to.
No. I'm going to make it one motion because I don't want one to be approved and one to be turned down. Turned down. They're going to be in the same.
Agree.
I'll use the current language. It's going to be one beautiful motion.
Fair enough.
You got
Wayne
me
got a big kick out of that.
You got me laughing on that one.
It's a beautiful word.
It'll be
Canadians don't like that. Yeah.
You will be beautiful.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, I want us to try to finally come to grips with this issue. I don't want us to give us an opportunity to kick the can down the road again, because we brought this up before and never came to a resolution on what we want that reserve. And I have some opinions, but whatever we want it to be, it's fine.
Gary, just do it fast so we can adjust when needed before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to involve a bylaw change, so just keep that in mind, okay?
What requires a bylaw change?
Budget? No.
If we're going to set a ceiling on if we're going to set this.
Well, you could. Here's a question. I wish Eric was here.
Not the amount, but the fact that we're going to do it.
Well, you could. I think it's an option as the way you want to put it in. It could be just a board motion, as the way you put it in the bylaws.
Okay. I'll talk to the group.
Okay.
Well, and if they won't move quickly on it, we'll postpone the budget, because I don't want to do this in two pieces. I feel very firmly about that. Otherwise, we will kick it down the road again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quite well said.
Okay. Without further ado, do I? Everybody gets adjourned? Wait, Mr. President, did you say wait?
Rich had his hand up.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think he wants to adjourn.
Okay. No objections. Meeting's adjourned.